In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $3 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? America Off the Rails has been declared a conservatives-only safe zone. Only conservatives allowed from this point forward. Any liberal, socialist, butthurt, hippie, tree huggers, please exit the facility immediately. Again, attention please. America Off the Rails is now designated as a conservative safe zone only. All butthurt, tree-hugging, hippie, free-to-be, you and me types exit the facility immediately. Thank you.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Don't expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off the lecture.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
All right, folks. Well, happy Wednesday evening. That's right. It's Hump Day. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. Hey, we are coming to you live right now from KLRNRadio.com, our new home and the flagship internet station for the Spark Radio Network. You can also hear this show every day, anytime you want to listen around on places like FM Player, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and about a zillion other podcast places. The one I keep forgetting to mention that is really a big deal, and I feel bad because we finally got it on there, and I keep forgetting to tell everybody. The show, because the station has always had its own iTunes feed, you can find everything you ever want to hear about KLRN and pretty much anything we've ever done on iTunes. But America Off the Rails now has its own iTunes feed as well, so you can actually follow along with the show there. And we have our own. I keep forgetting to mention this too. We have our own Play Store app, so you can actually just put America Off the Rails in quotation marks in the Play Store and download the app. Take me everywhere you want to go, although I'm not sure if that's a good idea for your sanity. If you're listening for the first time, I do encourage duct tape, lots and lots of duct tape, because it's going to take probably about 6 or 7 episodes before you want to rip your hair out and run away screaming. I'm not like most talk show hosts. I'm not going to be a cheerleader for any of the parties right now because I'm very angry with all of them, and I am working very hard behind the scenes with some folks that I hope to be bringing to daylight soon to see if there are some things that we can do to make changes. There are a couple of different groups that I'm either directly involved in or tacitly involved in. We'll be getting into that a little bit during the show tonight, but first I'm going to do something I haven't done in a while because, for anybody who remembers that other station that I was general manager of, that I was supposed to be part owner of, that now forever and shall be mentioned or referred to as the station that shall no longer be named. I used to get yelled at a lot when I did this because the guy that actually owned the rights to the name was afraid that if I played this in the beginning of the show, I was going to be scaring listeners off. My whole thought process with that was, if I'm going to be scaring them off, they probably don't need to be listening to me in the first place. So, because it's been a while and because I want to remind folks why it is that a lot of us are up in arms and we're all fighting to do what we think we need to do to save this country, without further ado, here is a rendition of the Declaration of Independence. I'll be back with you in a few minutes.
In Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights governments are instituted among men deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such forms as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time after such dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws of naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial, from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislators and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections among us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince, whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant, is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attention to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our emigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must, therefore, acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them, as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. and for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Alright, so I hope you don't mind me taking that liberty there to play a rendition of the Declaration of Independence. Now, I want to focus a little bit on the front of that, because if you didn't notice, a lot of that sounds like a lot of what we're going through today, and nobody's really talking about that. And it's one of the reasons why I have become involved in a couple of different groups, one of which shall remain nameless because they've asked me to not mention too much about it yet, because it is still in its infancy and they're not quite sure exactly how they're going to pull everything off. However, if it does come together, I do plan on having them on the show soon. For those of you, because I haven't actually announced it yet, I have become involved in a group that's going under the hashtag We Will Rescue America. The idea there is to found a new political party and a new home for conservatives. I know that there are a lot of smaller groups that have the same idea that we do. So what we're hoping to do is start formulating things a little bit better, and maybe give a home to some of those smaller groups so that we can seriously start trying to find a place where people that have the same ideas as we do, where we want limited government, and we basically want the government to stay out of everybody's lives, other than the absolute extreme moral stuff. I mean, because look, you know, I've told everybody on this show before, and I'm going to stand by this until the day that I die. I am opposed to homosexuality. However, as long as you keep it in your own bedroom, I don't really care. That's between you and whatever deity you choose to worship, if you choose to worship one at all. But the reason that I think society needs to have those lines drawn in the sand that none of you want to talk about is because of all the crazy things that we see going on now that those lines have been blurred. We now have this call for what is being now commonly referred to as gender fluidity, for folks that really, it doesn't really matter to them whether they're male or female physically, because emotionally they relate as the other, or they may be attracted to the same sex, or they may think that they were supposed to have been born the other sex and maybe just haven't had the surgeries yet, or not sure if they're going to have the surgeries. So we're now allowing people to go to the bathrooms that they self-identify with. Look, the simple fact of the matter is, folks, this is a very small percentage of our population, and it's abnormal behavior. Ask a psychologist. They will tell you. And look, there are a lot of things that are coming to light about same-sex attraction. There are things that they're discovering that may have medical effects to this. But the gender fluidity portion of this, nobody really knows that much about it yet. And the simple fact of the matter is, again, it's a very small segment of our population. And we've already seen in places like Target, where because people are being allowed to use the bathrooms that they supposedly identify with, we now have people that are being stalked, people that are being harassed because they don't really identify with those. They just know now that they have an excuse to go in them. And that's why these things need to exist. Look, it's pretty simple. If you want to have a bathroom that everybody's allowed to go into, then build the male and female bathrooms and then label one a family bathroom, which almost everybody already has anyway, which has both symbols on it, and it doesn't really matter if you're whatever, you can go in here. So why do the rest of us have to suffer just because there's a small percentage of the population that doesn't seem to understand who they are? And believe me, I understand that to a point. I'm 43 years old. It took me a long time to become comfortable in my own skin and become comfortable with who I am, because there are things that have happened in my life that have caused me setbacks and a lot of other issues, and I blamed the world and I blamed society and I blamed everybody else for the longest time about all of those things. You know, even if tragedy doesn't happen to you, we all have that going on a little bit in our lives. There are things that we think could be better if not just for this. There are things that could be better if not just for that. If I could just get that job that pays me a couple more dollars an hour. If I could just get that winning lottery ticket, everything's going to be all right. We all have that going on in our lives. We all have the uncertainty. We all have I'm not really sure if I'm in the right job, or I'm not sure if I really should be doing this or doing that, Or right now, I think I'm being led to do this, but I'm not really sure because it doesn't seem like it's coming together, but I'm still going to try it anyway. And the simple fact of the matter is we all have doubts in one form or another. The trick is to not give in to those doubts, regardless of what's causing them, regardless of what they're about, but to overcome those doubts. And the simple fact of the matter is, again, we have now blurred so many lines in our society that we don't have any idea what's right and what's wrong anymore. We now have folks that are pedophiles that are petitioning to have themselves recognized as normal because they can't help it because they were born to love children. They were wired that way. It's not their fault. Any of these arguments sound familiar? We now have a story, and I promised these people I wouldn't mention the town or anything else because it's all over the place. And I happen to know someone who lives in that town, so I promised them I wouldn't make it any worse. But we now have a story of a woman and her son that were separated. And when they were reunited many years later, they discovered that they loved one another. And I don't mean in a mother-son kind of way. I mean in a biblical, I want to marry you and make babies with you kind of way. So these two people that are related to one another, mother and son, are involved in a consummate relationship. And they're telling everybody love is love. Sound familiar? So this is my point. I understand that we all want to be this all-inclusive group, and we all want to say, look, it's none of my business as long as they're not hurting anybody, yada, yada, yada. But we still have to have a line somewhere. We have to draw the line in the sand. Every time we draw a line in the sand, we allow that line to be pushed, and then it continues to be pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed until there's no longer a line in the sand. And we're watching that happen right in front of our eyes. We are watching our society disintegrate, and nobody wants to talk about it. We're all too busy yelling about which presidential candidate is going to blow us up first. Look, at this point, no matter which one of these two jabronis gets into office, we're going to glow in the dark within a year. It really is pretty much that simple. Either Hillary Clinton's going to trip with the nuclear football and blow us all up, or Donald Trump's going to be dumb enough to think he can clean it with Windex and blow us all up. Either way, we're screwed. So what does this mean? I'll tell you what it means for me. First of all, again, I'm involved in a group that is hopefully at some point going to be instrumental in forming a new party so that conservatives can have a home. Right now, I am focusing with the Libertarian Party as well at my local level and bringing folks like Nicholas Sarwark into the spotlight because I do think the Libertarian Party needs to become a main focal party. I don't think it needs to be the only new party because at this point I'm tired of two-party rule. I don't think there needs to be three-party rule. I honestly think we need to bring as many people to the table as we can so that we can start having a varied idea of how things need to be and start working together to find consensus again because we don't do that anymore. We yell, we scream, we fight, we argue, we call names, we make memes that look really cool, that get lots of attention, but we don't solve anything. I mean, look, I'm old, I get it, I'm 43, but this whole presidential candidates having a Twitter war, I'm not cool with that. I'm just not. And again, maybe it's because I'm old, I get it. But it seems to me that when you're running for the highest office in the land, you should at least attempt to have some decorum. And I understand that's completely impossible for these two. I get it because neither one of them has any decorum, and they both lie like rugs. That's the thing that drives me crazy. I never in a million years thought that when I picked the name of this show nearly 6 years ago, that it would become as apparent today that was somebody upstairs whispering in my ear. Because this country is completely off the rails. It has been now for at least the last 3 years, and it's not getting any better. We now have Hillary Clinton, who lies all the time. We have Donald Trump, who lies all the time. And yet, because we're conditioned to do it, everybody picks up their respective banner, whether it be red or blue, they march off to war, and they go decide which lever they're going to pull. Because it's conditioning. Look, folks, this was the perfect year for a third-party run. I've said this I don't know how many times. 60% of the American people don't want either one of these idiots in office, and yet we couldn't put together a third-party run. Not even for the Libertarians. And look, I admit, I changed my registration to Libertarian. I've had Nicholas Sarwark on my show multiple times. He'll probably come on again. I like him personally. We've gotten to know each other a little bit over the last few months. I'm very familiar with the former head of the Oklahoma Libertarian Party here. He happens to be a longtime friend of mine. But I'm very disappointed in some of the reactions of the Libertarian Party. Because when a lot of us that were disaffected conservatives started looking for a new home, they did everything they could to push us back out the door. They had a chance to put someone like Austin on the ballot. If you don't know who I'm talking about, look him up. AP4LP. He's probably the one candidate that was even closely had a chance to be on the ballot this year that I can completely relate to. There's another one that's starting to come up out of the ranks, and I don't know that much about him yet, and I don't think he's going to make it on most of the ballots, so it's not going to help me because in Oklahoma we can't do write-ons. Even if it was approved, we can't do write-ons because they won't approve them here. But AP4LP was the one chance that the Libertarians had to bring a lot of disaffected conservatives into their ranks, and they chose not to do that. And I will admit that philosophically I'm more conservative. By action, I'm more libertarian. So I understand that I'm really kind of a dichotomy as it is, because personally, I believe what I believe and I think that I'm right, but I can't hold those values to anyone else. No, I don't think that mother and son should be sleeping together. No, I don't think it should be okay for grown men to have sex with little kids. No, I don't think it should be okay for grown women to have sex with little kids. I don't honestly, in my heart, think it's okay for a man to lie with a man, and I don't think the same for a woman. But again, my personal beliefs don't matter. We as a society have to decide where we're going to draw the line. And this is what I kept telling everyone was going to happen. Nobody wanted to listen to me. Nobody wanted to believe me, because now that we have had the whole gay marriage initiative and everything else, and that's all been normalized, now all the crazier people are coming out of the woodwork, and I told everybody it was going to happen, and they were like, oh no, Rick, you're just making that up, man. There's no way it's ever going to possibly be that bad. We're not that bad off as a society. There's no way that people are going to start petitioning to be able to marry their animals. There's no way that people are going to start being able to petition to marry their children. There's no way that we're going to have pedophiles come out and say we're people too, and we're just wired to love children. We can't help it. That's just the way we are, and that's just how it is. That's how God made us. Which is crap. It's all crap. And again, we're so busy focusing on which one of these two idiots we shouldn't be voting for that we're not focusing on any reasons why we should be voting for anyone. Which is why, unfortunately, still, with what's available to me this election cycle, I have no choice but to pick Gary Johnson. Because I cannot support Hillary, I cannot support Trump, and unfortunately, even though he likes to imbibe in a certain plant that I will never partake of by personal choice, whether it's legal or not, he's still the most adult person in the race right now. All right, so believe it or not, thanks to that little 10-minute interlude from the Declaration of Independence, we are now well past the bottom of the hour. I'm going to have to take a break real quick. When we come back, we still got lots of stuff to talk about in the news. Don't go away. This is Rick Robinson, host of America Off the Rails. I'll be right back with you here in just a moment. Want to give a quick shout-out again to KLRNRadio.com, Red Nation Rising Radio, Liberty Channel, and other affiliates where the show can be heard every single day. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network. Radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
All right, folks, we are back. We are live. Already into the bottom half of the show. My, oh my, where does the time go? That's right, we're on the Hump Day edition right here at KLRNradio.com. This is America Off the Rails. And at this point, we're going to change to a few news stories that are going on. So, a couple of things that I guess are important to talk about, and we're going to start trying to take more of an even keel at taking shots at both of the lead folks for president, since I don't really care for either one of them. So at this point, I honestly kind of feel like I'm at war with both parties. Anybody ever see that TV show on TNT, The Last Ship, where all of a sudden there's like one last bastion of freedom and they're all fighting to save the world from this crazy virus? I'm watching people that I adore succumb to to what can only be termed a disease. And it doesn't matter at this point whether they're conservative or they're liberal, because they're so afraid that if they're Hillary supporters, you can't vote for anybody but Hillary, because if you do, you're going to wind up electing Trump. And if you're a Trump supporter, you can't vote for anybody but Trump, because if you do, you're going to elect Hillary. And it's all a bunch of fear-mongering. And it's crazy, and it's insane. And both parties are doing it in mass. I mean, look, the other day, Hillary Clinton had the father of the Orlando shooter on her stage at a rally. and then tried to play it off like she didn't have any idea what was going on. I mean, it literally kind of sounded a little bit like this.
See what had happened was, see what had happened was, see what had happened was, see what had happened.
And then, as if that wasn't bad enough. So the media actually kind of starts picking up on that a little bit. And they're like, hey, this is not a good thing. Maybe she knew, maybe she didn't. But regardless, the optics are terrible. Obviously, for him to have made it up on the stage, the Secret Service had to know he was there. And obviously, the Secret Service probably should have had an issue with him being there. Now, I will say, to her campaign's credit, she did come out later through a campaign spokesman and say that she said that she regretted the fact that he was there and rejected his endorsement, etc. Blah 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 blah. And I'm sorry, that's about how I feel when anybody from either of the two major parties starts talking right now, because that's all we ever hear is blah blah blah. I mean, dude, they start talking, and I swear to God, it's like the parents from Charlie Brown. Wah 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 wall. Wah 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 wah. Trump bad. I mean, that's it. That's Trump and Hillary. If you put them side by side, that's basically what you hear. Wah 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 wah. I'm not Trump. Wah 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 wah. Wall huge. I mean, that's it. That's what you hear. And the sad thing is, if you're in either one of those camps, you cheer and you yell and you shout and you hoop and holler, but you don't realize that they're both lying to you. You've been so conditioned to pick up the blue banner or the red banner, you don't realize that all they're doing is telling you what you want to hear. I mean, Pence and Trump were at it again today, or as I like to call them,
I am Cornholio. I need TV for my bunghole.
Yes, I told you that was going to stick, and I finally remembered to get the sound bit. It is a throwback to the original campaign slogan sticker poster that had been immediately removed because it was like a phallic symbol on steroids with the two letters put together that said TP. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. Anytime anybody mentions Trump Pence...
I am Cornholio. I need TV for my bunghole.
Okay, so anybody remember that old crazy little saying that everybody put out, first they came for the Jews and I wasn't a Jew, so I did nothing. Then they came for so-and-so and I wasn't so-and-so, so I did nothing. Then they came for the Christians and I was a Christian, but by then nobody was there to come for me or to help me. So, yes, I'm butchering it. I don't really feel like reciting it from memory, but there's a reason I bring it up. This is from Indianapolis today. Governor Mike Pence, Trump's running bait, or I said bait, I'm sorry, running mate. And might as well be bait. I think he was basically just put on a hook to try to dangle in front of conservatives going, hey, come over here, boy, come on. Wait, see, he's conservative. Trump might not be really that conservative, but Mike Pence is. Come on, come back over here. Come on, got a treat for you. Come pull the lever. Anyway, so Governor Mike Pence of Indiana suggested in a radio interview on Monday that Donald J. Trump's proposed ban on Muslims from entering the country could be broadened to include other religions, not just Muslims. In an interview with Charles Sykes, a Wisconsin talk radio host, Mr. Sykes specifically pressed Mr. Pence on his running mate's Muslim ban, asking, so there's no longer a proposed temporary ban on Muslims. It would be anyone from those countries, including Christians, Jews. Mr. Pence, seeming to go beyond even the policy proposed by Mr. Trump, did not rule out banning immigrants from other religions if they were coming from nations or territories that support terrorism. I think what you heard in the convention speech from Trump was that we've talked about, what we've talked about out on the stump is that we would temporarily suspend from countries or territories, if you will, the caliphate of ISIS. Obviously, because it's expanded beyond one country, he said. But to say that individuals that come from religions or countries that have been compromised by terrorism whoever wrote this article, I swear, come from religions to countries that have been compromised by terrorism, that we would suspend that immigration. I think that's appropriate until we develop a new vetting system. Sad thing is, I'm not sure if that was somebody transcribing Pence or if whoever was writing the article missed a really bad flaw. I can't say anything, folks. I have an editor. You hear her commercials all the time, so I'm really not trying to throw stones, but yeah. To the person who wrote this article, if you're listening, listen to the commercials in the middle of my show. Give the lady a call. She can hook you up. Okay, so anyway. So, now we have this coming out where it may not just be the Muslims. We might wind up even banning Christians or Jews or Hindu or whoever from that region just to make sure that we're not secular, basically that we're not segmenting in on just one part of the population. Look, my point is, with the technology that we have available today, if we were to actually use it and we were to do the things that all of the conservative candidates were talking about, because remember, Donald Trump wasn't the first one to talk about a wall. He was just the first one to talk about the physical wall that even he has now admitted will probably most likely be almost entirely a virtual wall. Kind of like the Cruz idea. And before anybody says, oh my God, there's just another Cruz bot. No, actually, Cruz was like my last lifeboat's hope of being able to stop the world from falling in front of Lord Jeezy Poof. So no, I'm not. I wasn't a Cruz guy. I like Cruz. Don't get me wrong. There were things that I liked once they came out a little more that I thought were kind of awesome, because he apparently has the ability to remember everything that he ever hears, which would be amazing for a president, because, he could be sitting in a room or give the people that are actually going to be sitting in the room, because Lord knows the president really doesn't sit across the table from everybody that often in negotiations unless it's somewhere like the UN. But he could be like, hey, remember when Putin said this, 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 and this, and this, and make sure that he knows that we remember that he said those things. And that would have been a really useful tool, I'm just saying. But I get it. The populist movement was overrun with Trump. But the thing with Trump is just crazy, because if you listen to his supporters, you're supposed to believe everything that comes out of the man's mouth unless it was an accident. I mean, the whole thing is, and that's what actually made me really think about this, and then I realized I could use it for both of them.
See what had happened was, 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 see what had happened was.
That's exactly what Trump supporters sound like when he goofs. Except instead of, well, you see what happened was, it's, well, you see what he meant to say was. You're putting words in his mouth. The man's words should be able to stand on their own. The problem is they don't. Because what you guys are saying is, when he made the comment about Hillary Clinton, what he was referring to is the 2A group, or the Second Amendment folks, are a really large voting bloc, and they are well organized, and they would have the ability to stop her from being elected. The problem is, that is not what he said.
And by the way, and if she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know. But
if she gets to pick her judges, the fact that he framed it as an if she gets to pick her judges, for her to be able to do that, she would have already been elected. So when he was talking about the Second Amendment, folks, he wasn't talking about stopping her from being elected. He was talking about stopping her after she got elected. And that's what I'm trying to talk to people about. But when you talk to their supporters, this is what they sound like. And it's just terrible. And he doubled down again even today. Now he had this to say about President Obama, and believe me, I'm no Obama fan, but this?
ISIS is honoring President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS, okay? He's the founder. He founded ISIS. And I would say the co-founder would be crooked Hillary Clinton.
So now President Obama founded ISIS, and the co-founder is crooked Hillary Clinton. Those are Trump's words, so I wonder who's going to walk them back. Somebody's going to have to. You know they are. And look, I don't even like Obama. I don't like him personally because I think he is egotistical. I don't like him policy-wise because I don't think he's known what he's been doing for the last 8 years. There are plenty of things that I do not like about Obama. He gives off airs. He makes statements much like Donald Trump does, completely off the cuff without thinking, and then tries to walk them back later, such as the police in this instance behave stupidly. You know, look, if you really want to, I mean, there is one thing that could have been squarely laid at Obama's feet, and it's not ISIS. It's the violence with police officers in this country today. It's the fact that we have an entire segment of the population that has become so disenfranchised that they think the only way that they can make anything better is to start lashing out at police officers. That is something that Trump could have squarely laid at Obama's feet, and I wouldn't have cared an iota. But the simple fact of the matter is, Obama didn't found ISIS. Somebody over in the Middle East founded ISIS. Obama might be inadvertently or somehow even tacitly helping ISIS. Maybe he's too stupid to realize some of the things that he's doing and how that's been helping. I don't know. What I do know is Trump is the last person to be talking about anybody's foreign policy stances when the first thing that he keeps asking people off the record is why we don't use our nuclear weapons. That is not someone that we need to have access to the launch codes. Because there are lots of reasons why we don't use our nuclear weapons. And the reason why nobody but you is suggesting it, hopefully not, Mr. President, is because none of us are completely brain damaged. And I'm sorry, I'm just calling it like I see it from both sides now, folks, because look, they're both nuts. They're both insane. Neither one of them have our best interest at heart. Both of them are only interested in one thing, and that's how can I shore up what power I still have and make it even more than what it is today. And at this point, that's the ultimate chalice for both of them. That's their gold ring, the White House. Brass ring, gold ring, whatever you want to call it. That's what they're reaching for. And unfortunately, they have their machines propelling both of them to the point where one of them is going to get there unless we change something. And the only way that we can change something is to decide that we've had enough. How many times are we going to keep running back and forth between the red lever and the blue lever before we decide there has to be another option? We have become conditioned to believe that only the two-party system can work. Nothing else can work. There has to be balance. It has to be fair. There has to be two parties. But the problem is, folks, you are buying into a fallacy because the two-party system hasn't existed for at least 8 years. At least, and I'm being generous. And that's only because I happen to like President George W. Bush. I disagreed with a lot of his policies there towards the end, and there were things like the Patriot Act that drove me completely insane when he started talking about them, but I really want to believe that he wasn't part of this machine. But the simple fact of the matter is that they're not even hiding the collusion anymore. We have calls going on between the Republican candidate and the Democratic candidate's husband months before he even decided to run. We have repeated phone calls that we know about. We have emails that have surfaced with his information listed in them intertwined with hers. Now, you can take the fact that they're saying, well, that's just because, maybe Hillary Clinton's team was spying on Trump and that's how they got that information and it was leaked out through the email. No, not if you actually look at the actual email itself, which you can see an electronic copy of if you know where to look. There's no way that these two groups have not been colluding with one another. Look at everything that has happened. You had Donald Trump standing up telling everybody he was going to fight the establishment. He was going to be the unpolitician politician. And then he starts lying just like every other politician. Problem one. Then he says, well, I'm still going to fight the establishment when I get to Washington. But then he says in speech after speech after speech that once he gets the election, he's going to have to move towards the establishment. Nobody's talking, well, that's not what he meant, Rick. No, that's exactly what he said. He's been telling you who he is every step of the way. She has been telling you who she is every step of the way. They both feel they are above the law. They both feel that they are above all of us, and neither of them is going to do a damn thing that they tell you that they're going to do to make this country better. And I don't think either one of them honestly know of any way to do those things to begin with. So you, the American public, need to make a decision. Are you going to continue to pick up your banner every 4 years and march off to war? Are you going to decide that you've had enough? What we're going to be talking about on tomorrow's show is the way that you can start doing things if you decide you have had enough. If you haven't, then just do what you do. Pick up your banner, march off to war. I'm not telling you who to vote for. What I'm telling you is our system is broken, and it is time that we do something about that broken system. And if we can't do that, then we have even bigger problems than I thought. And it really is just about that simple. All right, folks, so we are about out of time. Again, I want to give a quick shout out to the affiliates that do run the station. That would be SHR Media, that would be Red Nation Rising Radio, the Liberty Channel. That would also be folks like AMFM247.com, and of course our internet home where we are right now, and live, KLRNRadio.com. And again, as a reminder, if you'd like to check the show out as a podcast, you can download the Play Store app. You can also go to iTunes, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Stitcher, FM Player, and a bunch of other places, some of which I can't remember right now. On that note, folks, I am out. And remember, I'm not trying to tell you what to do or how to get involved. What I am telling you is we're about out of time, and the two parties that are actually one party aren't even trying to hide it from us anymore. So it's time to do something. Until I see you again, God willing, I'll be back with you live tomorrow night for a double shot Jen and Rick and then America Off the Rails right here on KLRNRadio.com. Stay tuned for the Rhino Report right here coming up next. If you're listening on one of our other affiliates, check your local listings. I'll be back with you when I can. God bless.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Later.
Game over, man. It's game over.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network. Radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.